Hey there, I'm John, and this is Linda. And Linda's our new saturation, overdrive, fuzz, and distortion pedal. And I'll expand in a sec on how you can do all of those things without kind of half-arsing it. So by dual channel, I guess I mean I took two pedals and put them in one box. The first of those is the DeadBlow, and that's a fairly straightforward circuit with just the two controls. And the second circuit is the Spore, which I've kind of revisited. I've given it a 3-band active EQ, and I've kind of monkeyed about with the biasing as well there. You can run each of the circuits individually, or you can run the DeadBlow into the Spore. So lots of flexibility there, and lots of potential for that kind of really wide palette of sounds that I was talking about initially. So like most things Lateral, Linda's not specifically a guitar pedal. In fact, I think I'm going to do 3 of these videos. I'll do one for guitarists, I'll do another one for bass players, and a third one with synths and samples and beats and what have you. Rather than being a big sales pitch, I want this video to kind of support the manual. So if you've recently got hold of a Linda of your own, this will help you navigate things and hopefully get the most out of it. I'll do the usual timestamps in the description thing if you're keen to just jump ahead and have a listen. Before I plug anything in, I'm going to do a quick walkthrough of the controls, and that way things should make a little bit more sense when we're up and running. Right, first a quick bit of backstory. Linda was commissioned and named by my friend John, who runs the boutique plectrum site heavyrapping.com. John's involved with a bunch of different bands and musical projects, which span from really heavy doom to angular post-rock to ambient and droney stuff. And a big part of the design criteria was to make Linda work across the board. The main reason Linda can cover all this ground is because of the individual gain stages. That means there's lots of adjustable places where your sound can be clipped or boosted or shaped at different levels as it travels through the pedal. It might look like a lot to take on board initially with the 10 controls and 2-foot switches, but it doesn't take long for it to become intuitive and you're dialing in the sounds that you've got in your head. So let's start off with the DeadBlow, and that's the right foot switch and the 2 white controls in this box down here. The DeadBlow is a pedal in its own right, and it's got its own specific demo video. I'll put a link to that in the description of this video here if you want to check that out. Circuit is pretty straightforward, but it's really effective. It consists of a germanium transistor, a fairly spicy one, running into a silicon transistor. So that would normally be kind of the recipe for a fairly basic fuzz pedal. What makes DeadBlow interesting and flexible is the force control. That's a combination of a gain and a tone control. It governs how much low frequency or bass is let in at the front of the pedal. So lower settings are thinner and more kind of bitey. Turn it up and it gets fatter and heavier. It also cleans up really nicely if you back off the input volume of whatever you've got plugged in. So that means it's a pretty dynamic circuit. It also really likes stacking with other pedals, or it can hit your amp pretty hard, which is why we chose it to use here. The rest of the controls all relate to the Spore circuit, and I reckon you're going to already know what a number of these do. There's a volume control here, and there's the EQ section in the top row. The EQ's active, which means that you can both cut and boost frequencies, and that makes it really effective at shaping your sound. The rest of the controls relate to the 3 separate gain stages in the Spore. First up, we've got the push control, and that's linked to an op-amp booster at the front of the circuit. Op-amps are efficient, and we generally think of them as being fairly transparent. They're good at making things louder without really noticeably colouring your sound. So the push control does exactly that. It kind of shoves your signal into the rest of the circuit. We then get to a germanium gain section. Germanium transistors, broadly speaking, have a different sound to the more modern silicon ones. They tend to be less bright and harsh, and you hear words like chewy and sticky used to describe germanium clipping and distortion. Spore's germanium section's got 2 controls. We've got the spray, which acts as a gain control, and bias affects the stability of the stage. Lower bias settings will introduce firstly a bit more kind of raspiness, and then as you turn it down further you start to get gating, which is where your sound dies out abruptly rather than fading out smoothly. Finally, before the signal reaches the EQ section, it goes through a silicon transistor stage, and this will leave your sound pretty much as is at lower settings, but you can turn up the pull control to add more bite and a more modern focused distortion kind of sound. And that's that. Pair it with a normal center negative 9-volt adapter you're used to using, and you're good to go. Okay, let's get it plugged in and we'll hear how it sounds. Right, I'm going to start with Tele, so 2 single coil pickups, nothing particularly aggressive, amp set to clean. And everything is set to 12 o'clock on Linda, which is on stand over here. Impact for the DeadBlow is slightly less than 12, because that's where Unity is. Force up a bit. Like I said before, DeadBlow's got its own sort of full-length demo video, so I'm not going to spend much more time mucking around with that. Let's move over onto the Spore circuit, and with everything set at 12, I'm quite interested to see what this is going to sound like. I've not even switched this on yet. I'm expecting some sound, but it's going to be a bit weird. Not far off Unity, is it? I probably should have checked this before. Quiet, bit quiet. Sounds alright then, doesn't it? Oh yeah, so we've got some negating happening. So that means the bias isn't set correctly. So your notes kind of, I don't know, fall apart rather than... If we back off the guitar volume, it'll make it even more pronounced. But if we dig in harder, so we can fix this in a couple of ways. We can either increase the push, so we're hitting it with a harder signal. Got better sustain that way. Or all we need to do is turn the bias clockwise a little bit. That's more again, correctly biased. Right, so let's pare things back a bit. So we'll turn the spray down. And we can get some really nice kind of low gain drivey stuff. And just give it a bit more mids. So you can tell how dramatic it is, the amount of kind of changes you can get from the tones there. Scoop it. A bit more beans. Bitey, so turn the treble down. And you can see now, adjusting the spray will impact where the bias point is. So, make that better or worse, frankly. And if you push the spray up too far, it basically starts misbehaving. And this is, well, it sounds like it's trying to oscillate. Let's hit it even harder. That's quite a passable lead tone, I reckon. With humbuckers that becomes something else again, to be honest. Let's try Les Paul. So that's with the neck pickup dialed right back. So we're obviously misbiased because obviously we're gated as heck. But as soon as you whack it onto the bridge pickup, it's got that much more of a high output because you haven't dialed the volume back. Tons of sustain. So it's really nice and raspy and sticky. baritone. Hopefully you're getting the impression that there's an awful lot of sounds to be found in here. I'm still discovering loads, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay, I think we'll leave it there for today. If you want to hear any more, then there's plenty of clips on our Instagram and Facebook and Twitter pages. Thanks very much for your time. Cheers.